So if you hold XRP, it's confirmed. The trade that I opened yesterday, there was a little over $8,000 in unrealized profit. The video got about 22,000 views. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video, but that trade closed at about $15,000 in profit, and XRP right now is on the verge of a major move. Now, everyone wants to know, is XRP going to break out higher as Bitcoin continues this aggressive recovery rally from $100,000 to now $108,000? So in this video, we're going to talk just about that. We're going to break down the Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart also, and we're going to compare to Ethereum, what's happening to Ethereum right now, what this means for Total 2, the entire altcoin industry, the correlation between gold, XLM's price chart as well too. I know you guys have asked about XLM. Others, pretty much everything outside of the top 10, along with a divergence cheat sheet that you guys can use when looking at charts to be able to understand the best entry and exit points on short-term and long-term time frames. So if you guys like crypto, you like making money to live an incredible lifestyle from this industry, then comment 777 if you're feeling blessed, if you're feeling bullish, and if you're going to become the first millionaire in your family tree, confirm it by tapping the subscribe button. Let's run it. All right, bull runners, welcome back to the channel. So the past 24 hours has been pretty good for the crypto market, and to celebrate, we're giving away $100 worth of XRP. So congratulations to Daniel for winning our previous giveaway. If you guys want to win next, all you need to do, follow us on Twitter or X at BullRunnersHQ. The link will be below. And then just simply like the pinned post, retweet it, and comment XRP. And then simply subscribe to our daily video newsletter. And when you click that link, it'll take you to this page. Just put in your best email address. It's free, and you guys are going to receive value on a daily basis. So if you haven't gone through our book yet, Altcoin Secrets, definitely check it out. And you guys will learn the 23 secrets to pinpoint explosive altcoins, time your entries and exits like a pro, and basically build a bulletproof portfolio like the 1% to be able to outsmart the 99%. Because what I'm going to talk about in today's video that I briefly covered in previous videos is what the 1% look for on the charts, because the vast majority of the industry, they don't learn how to read charts. They don't look at moving averages. They don't look at indicators, and they just buy because someone told them. So for example, right here, I applied what I'm going to share with you in this video to be able to earn over $15,000 from this trade right here on XRP. And results aren't typical, but the goal is to not be typical. If 99% of people fail, well, you got to do what the 1% do. So since June 6th, here's the results on some of my trades compared to Bitcoin's price change. You can see 8% on the 6th, on the 7th, up 8%, on the 8th, up 10%, and then up on the 9th, 31%, and total P&L over these days is over $40,000. So being able to earn in just a few days what took me an entire year to make working a job is a blessing, and I'm going to share with you guys some strategies that you can be able to apply. Now, before I do that, quick disclaimer, my results aren't typical. They're purely for example purposes only. You can definitely lose money in crypto, so go consult your financial advisor. I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm not telling you to sell everything. I'm just giving you guys education and examples on the charts, which I'm going to dive into right here. So I'm just making this video from my couch. You guys can work from home. You can apply these strategies, but by no means am I making any guarantees that you're going to make any money. In fact, you're going to lose all your money. You're going to be living in a van down by the river. So with that being said, let's dive right in. For example, looking at Bitcoin's price chart right now, also another trade right here, 23K, and realized profit this morning and some other smaller trades for $600, $400, $50. So if helping you earn an extra $100 or $300 a day would completely transform your life, then like this video because you guys are going to love what I'm going to share with you. So when I talk about this divergence cheat sheet right here, you can see there's bearish and there's bullish divergences. And so there's regular, hidden, exaggerated, and this is the basics right here. So you can see the price chart in blue and then a key indicator in red. So we can use like an indicator like the stochastic RSI or the relative strength index, even the MACD. To keep this simple for you guys, I'm just going to use the stochastic RSI and the relative strength index. The more complicated that you make it, the more difficult trading becomes. I think the best strategies are the most simple strategies. And so there's time frames here at the top. For example, on the daily, you will see that these indicators show different data here, whether we're on a longer term time frame, like the daily, the weekly, or the monthly, even the 4-hour, or if we're going into more short-term time frames like the 15-minute, the 30, or the 5-minute. I'll show you what I spotted here on XRP's price chart. So if we zoom in to the 15-minute right here, you guys can see when XRP's price chart broke out from $2.20 all the way up here to $2.25, then $2.28, then $2.29, XRP was forming higher highs on the price chart. And if we bring up the stochastic RSI and the relative strength index, you can see from this point right here, from this high at $2.26, the stochastic RSI peaked out all the way up here near 100. And on the next higher high in the price chart, well, the stochastic RSI didn't put in a higher high because we were pretty much at 100. In fact, it put in a lower high. So this was the start of a bearish divergence. And what I like to look for is 3 higher highs on the price chart, and then the third lower high to be something like this, where it falls off of a shelf for the stochastic RSI. Because after this high, we saw by the 8th at 11:15 Eastern Standard Time, the high for the stochastic RSI was all the way down here right around 50, a little bit below 50, whereas the price chart was clearly making a higher high. Even the relative strength index right here, you can see this high was about an equal high. That's what happened here on the relative strength index. And then on the stochastic RSI, we saw a regular bearish divergence. And so the bearish divergence just simply means the momentum is shifting over from bullish on the price chart to eventually bearish. And you can catch short-term trades this way. So as you can see, this little red arrow right here at the top is when I entered into the short on this third lower high for the stochastic RSI, which was basically a done deal at that point, because look at the relative strength index. We were in a full-fledged downtrend after that. And even though the price chart took a little while for this trade to play out, we saw the price creep back up to this high. Again, this is just another equal high on the price chart and another lower high on the stochastic RSI and on the relative strength index, which the cheat sheet shows is an exaggerated divergence. Equal high on the price chart, lower high on the key indicators. We also see confluence, where it's good to see the stochastic RSI and the relative strength index showing the same thing, because sometimes with these bearish divergences, we might see like the stochastic RSI forming a lower high, whereas the relative strength index is forming a higher high closer to 80 or 100. But still, it's a good sign, because anytime we're near 100 on the relative strength index and we're forming a lower high on the stochastic and we're forming higher highs on the price chart, it's pretty clear that momentum is slowing down. So on this trade right here, I had to wait a little bit, but it eventually broke down, and then I just simply moved my stop loss to about $2.24. And as you can see, I was stopped out right here. Had the trade continued down, this would have been like $20, $30, or $40,000. But I'm fine with that, because sometimes you got to let your runners run. And as you can see, it stopped it out, and now the price is back up even above where I entered that trade. And so what I can see happening now on the price chart for XRP is from this high right here at 6:30 this morning to the most recent local high to $2.29. It's a higher high in the price chart, whereas the stochastic RSI is forming about an equal high, and the relative strength index actually formed a higher high. So there's not a divergence playing out right now. With the relative strength index in between 50 and 70, it's at about 60 right now, and the stochastic RSI sitting here at about 11 and 19 for the K line and the D line. It's actually looking like XRP wants to make a push a little bit higher, as long as we hold this support right here at about $2.28. And so for this reason, I'm not entering into a trade right now for XRP, because I didn't see a lower high in the relative strength index with this higher high, and Bitcoin is still in an uptrend right now. So as long as Bitcoin is breaking out, XRP is going to continue to break out. So if we just look at Bitcoin's price chart right here, we can see Bitcoin has been forming higher highs. The stochastic RSI put in roughly an equal high. We did form a bearish cross, and we are breaking down right now on the stochastic and the relative strength index. So this is actually the start of a bearish divergence on the relative strength index. And also, because this is the second point on the stochastic RSI, and because this is the first lower high for the relative strength index, you can see the main high right here all the way upwards of 86 with this breakout right here for Bitcoin. We experienced this little pullback from $1,780 roughly to 106.7, and then we broke out for a higher high right here. Whereas the relative strength index is putting in a lower high. It's very well possible that Bitcoin experiences a little short-term pullback maybe if the RSI doesn't break this most recent high at 71. So if we see the RSI pull back a little bit further and then bounce from here for a third point of contact at a descending resistance and just consolidate like this while Bitcoin is breaking out to a new high to like 109 to 110, then I'm going to be watching the stochastic RSI and seeing if we're either putting in a lower high or an equal high, as we were putting in right here a little bit earlier today, and also right here at 7:45 this morning. Because if it plays out like this on the price chart or somewhat similar to it, the stochastic could put in a lower high or an equal high to right here when the bearish cross took place close to 100. Well, then that would simply be a regular divergence on the relative strength index and an exaggerated or irregular divergence on the stochastic RSI for a bearish reversal signal. So We're going to wait for this to play out. We're going to see what happens with Bitcoin over the next few hours to the next 24 hours. We're going to see if Bitcoin pushes a little bit higher. If that happens, we're going to watch the relative strength index. We're also going to watch the stochastic RSI. But right now, I'm not entering into a trade for Bitcoin because I like to see 2 points of contact after the highs come in. So we've had 1 point of contact on the relative strength index. I would like a third point of contact. And for confluence, it would be great to see the stochastic RSI putting in a lower high with Bitcoin making a push a little bit higher in the short term. Now, if you guys want more strategies on how to properly read charts and understand different types of divergences, moving averages, etc., you can join Altcoin Pro University, go through the Technical Analysis Essentials course. It is top notch. And if you don't love it, we have a 14-day money back guarantee, so you have no risk here. And if you guys get value out of it, then definitely let us know. Go to the community section right here and click more. And then underneath the post your wins, go ahead and share your wins. And we'll feature you guys on our Instagram accounts. For example, my main Instagram account is RunLifeNick right here. This is my personal page. But also, our main Instagram account for Altcoin Pro is altcoinpro_. You guys can check out Bull Runners HQ as well too, but we're going to be adding a lot of story highlights here of your guys' wins. And you can see some of the most recent wins right here of not only the trades that I've been taking, but some of the results from our community members. So if you guys want to be featured on our Instagram, then definitely check that out. Go follow us. Links will be in the description below. But let's take a look at Bitcoin to the US dollar price chart right now, because that divergence that I was telling you guys about, which was the regular bearish divergence where the price chart makes a higher high and the key indicators make lower highs. Well, we saw that on Bitcoin's price chart right here ever since the 24th of April right here, where the price chart made a higher high all the way until the 22nd of May. And look at the stochastic RSI was putting in lower highs. Now the relative strength index was putting in higher highs, but we were overvalued all the way here on the second point of contact. For example, this is the first point of contact in a downtrend. This is the second point of contact right here. And this is the first point of contact for the relative strength index. Well, it could be considered the second because maybe this is the first, but then this would be the third point of contact all the way up here. If I move my camera, at about 77. So we're overvalued for the RSI on the daily. The stochastic RSI was putting in a second lower high right here by the 22nd of May, and Bitcoin's price chart was all the way up here at $111,000. That would have been a great short opportunity for Bitcoin to be able to short the market. Sure enough, what happens? Well, the stochastic RSI falls off a shelf, comes all the way down here below 20. The relative strength index pulls all the way back to 44, and now we're seeing a short-term bounce for the RSI. So this reminds me of what we saw last bull run during this phase in the bull run right here. And so in my opinion, where I believe we are is we're at some phase during this part of the market cycle right here, and we're not quite up to the top. Because if we look at the stochastic RSI on the daily for Bitcoin and the relative strength index, you guys can see right here last bull run, we saw this type of divergence play out too, where the price chart was making higher highs, stochastic was making lower highs. There was also confluence because the relative strength index was making lower highs as well too, until it reset all the way down here at 33. And so this time around, we did see the bearish divergence on the stochastic, but the relative strength index was forming higher highs. And now we just started a downtrend in the relative strength index while the stochastic RSI is breaking out. So depending on where Bitcoin tops out in the short term, if it tops out at 109, 110 before we cool off for a little bit, right now we are between the 0.702 and the 786 retracement. So if we cool off for a little bit and just kind of squat right here, that'd be great before continuing higher. If we see an aggressive pullback in Bitcoin's price chart, we come all the way back down here, I'm going to be a little bit more cautious because we could see Bitcoin pull back down within this range. But things are looking actually extremely bullish for the rest of this year, and we still have time left in this bull run. We just need to watch these key indicators closely because we are forming a lower high in the stochastic RSI. So if we roll back around to the downside and the relative strength index gets rejected, then I would expect the price to either cool off or pull back for a little bit because we're in the middle of a range for the stochastic. We're in the middle of a range for the relative strength index. Although we are above 50, this is not giving me conclusive evidence that we're going to go higher or we're going to go down. So I remain agnostic right now, and I'm not entering into a trade for Bitcoin until I see how this daily candle closes and over the next few days as well too. So that's where patience is our best friend here, because you guys can see what happened after Bitcoin was done going through this consolidation phase right here at the tail end of September when we broke out to the all-time high. Well, the RSI broke this downtrend and absolutely exploded to the upside and went all the way upwards of 77. So in my opinion, we don't end a bull run in the middle of a range. We end a bull run when we are extremely overvalued on macro timeframes. Right now, we're only on the daily, and we're in the middle of a range for both the stochastic and the relative strength index. In fact, if I zoom out to the weekly on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see that the stochastic RSI is all the way up here at 90 and 86. So that's not the best sign, but let me clear the chart for you guys real quick so you can see this. This isn't the best sign, but the relative strength index is at 65. So on the weekly, I can actually see a regular bearish divergence too on the relative strength index, because if you guys look at the RSI right here, we're forming a lower high and the price chart has been forming a higher high. So in my opinion, I do think Bitcoin has another major push towards the end of this year, and that could lead to an ultimate blow off top in the relative strength index. And then we're going to see what the stochastic RSI does in the short term, but I wouldn't be entering into a buy right here on Bitcoin while we're all the way up here above 80 on the stochastic RSI, and the relative strength index is at this descending resistance right now in a macro bearish divergence. So with this massive bullish green candle right here for Bitcoin, I want to see how this plays out over the next few days, because we could see an aggressive pullback here soon. If we don't, and Bitcoin just starts to do this, it closes bullish and then breaks the all-time high and does something like this, well, then that's another trade that we could talk about with a back test of the previous high before a continuation of the uptrend for Bitcoin. But right now we're in a sticky situation because we are pretty much back testing the high of January of 2025 and December of 2024. And we are at a 702 retracement right here. So look at this, $281 million poured into Ethereum ETFs last week. And so BlackRock's buying a lot of Ethereum. Trump is buying a lot of Ethereum. Institutions are buying a lot of Ethereum. Why? Well, they know something the masses do not know. And that is, when you look at Ethereum to Bitcoin's price chart, Ethereum has been drastically underperforming Bitcoin. And the reason why I talk about Ethereum is because if we see a breakout for Ethereum, for all we know, the breakout could be lackluster. We could continue to the downside. But when we see, or if we see a breakout for Ethereum, then alt season will generally follow, because that's going to be the bullish catalyst to bring money back into mid cap and lower market cap projects on Ethereum's blockchain and other blockchains, because Ethereum is kind of like the signpost that it's alt season. If Ethereum starts to break out, everyone starts looking further down the list for different altcoins. And if we look at the relative strength index, we have been in a downtrend since 2021, since May, forming lower highs. And so if Bitcoin breaks the all-time high and starts to break out and Ethereum just lags behind, and let's just say Ethereum goes sideways or just underperforms relative to Bitcoin, so if Bitcoin starts breaking out rapidly, if Ethereum breaks out, but not as quick as Bitcoin, we might even see ETH to Bitcoin come down a little bit before breaking further to the upside. And this would be the last stop, I think, for Ethereum before a major breakout. Any type of pullback for Ethereum on the ETH to Bitcoin price chart, in my opinion, is an incredible entry point for ETH to Bitcoin, because eventually I think we're going to break this downtrend and ETH will start to break out. But on the stochastic RSI on the weekly, we are at 97 and 96 right here. So I think Bitcoin will make the move first, and then that rotation will come a little bit later this year into Ethereum and other altcoins. And the reason why I say that is because when I talked about XRP's price chart in my video yesterday, if you guys didn't see that, go watch it. I broke down why I believe XRP is going to take off at the end of this year, and I also broke that down in the XRP to the Bitcoin price chart. I think it was like a week or two ago, where XRP has been underperforming relative to Bitcoin's price chart. And right now, we are at a very key level right here for XRP to Bitcoin. If this level does not hold and we see a break further to the downside, it doesn't necessarily mean XRP sells off, because XRP could go sideways while Bitcoin's breaking out and XRP to Bitcoin's price chart goes down. Now, if Bitcoin, doesn't break out and XRP goes down, then XRP to Bitcoin could go down. Whereas if Bitcoin sells off and XRP sells off faster, XRP to Bitcoin could still go down. So we are in a downtrend right now, which is telling me strength is going to be on Bitcoin's side until Bitcoin's dominance drops. And until Bitcoin's dominance drops, Total 2 and also others are going to lag behind. So you guys can see right now, we are well below the high of the 8th of December and well below the high from 2021, where at this phase in Bitcoin stock to flow rainbow indicator, we were all the way up here. Well, right now, we're lagging behind a little bit. And so this tells me that there's still time left in this bull run, because we haven't seen a blow off top for the entire altcoin market. And so what's going on right now for altcoins is we're just simply forming this bull flag right here after breaking this downtrend. You guys can just simply see lower highs right here ever since December of 2024 and lower lows as well too. And what I can see here as well from the 6th of May of 2025 until this recent low on the 5th of June, it's a higher low on the price chart, whereas the stochastic RSI is putting in lower lows and the relative strength index as well too put in a lower low. Now, if we go to the cheat sheet here, what does that mean? Well, if the price chart is putting in higher lows and the key indicators are putting in lower lows, well, that is a bullish hidden divergence. So this is a major reversal signal. Now, if Bitcoin pulls back, we could pull back a little bit further and still be in a divergence just as long as the total 2 chart holds higher than $1 trillion. So we could technically pull back to 1.02. We could have a flash crash. As long as we hold this support right here, then we are going to be in a bullish divergence. So this is telling me that once this consolidation phase is done, we're going to see a massive amount of liquidity get injected in the altcoin market. We're going to come all the way back up, and I will replay this video in a few weeks from right now and even a few months and show you guys this price chart, and you're going to be like, wow, how did he know that this was going to happen? We're going to come all the way back here. We're going to back test $1.5 trillion to $1.6 trillion. And when that happens, there's going to be a lot of new investors coming in the markets wondering if now's a good time to buy up here when they could have accumulated during this boring consolidation phase right here, especially when retail interest is down in the dumps for crypto and Bitcoin. Because if you look right here, we're at 22 out of 100 on Google Trends, and all the way back here in November of 2024, we are at 69 out of 100. So retail has been leaving the markets, and this is the way that it always works. So when I say this is why 99% of people lose money or they fail in crypto, is because they have short attention spans. Social media has been psychologically engineered to be able to rake in billions and billions of dollars from people just by mindlessly scrolling through their app and then seeing some ads here and there from advertisers that want to pay to put impressions in front of you to buy their products, because we live in a consumer society. So because your brain has been trained to not be able to focus for longer than 5 seconds, do you think you're going to be able to focus since the 12th of May, with it being June 9th? It's been nearly a month and price has done nothing for altcoins. Of course not. You're going to be frustrated. You're probably going to sell out, and then bam, the price is going to flood your serotonin, your dopamine when you see Bitcoin breaking out, altcoins breaking out. Then you're going to scramble to start buying up here, and you're going to repeat the same exact cycle that happened right here, the same cycle that happened up here, the same cycle that happened up here, where you buy the top virtually every single time because you did not pay attention to these key indicators. And when they're in overbought conditions, you didn't pay attention to what I just shared with you. But I know if you're watching this video, you're different. And as you can see back here on the 6th of December, when the stochastic RSI was all the way up here near 100, the relative strength index was at 83. That was a terrible time to be buying, but millions of retail investors came into the markets, and that's when they bought. So right now we're at 48 and 34 on the stochastic. We're at 53 on the relative strength index. Now in the long term, at any of these levels, it's a great accumulation. Even though I think we could go a little bit lower, it's definitely a possibility. Well, it's not a guarantee, because if that breakout happens now with Bitcoin, well, through this month, I think this is going to be one of the last opportunities to be able to accumulate crypto before the next major move for altcoins, because Bitcoin is following gold through a 70-day lag period, and gold has been breaking out past its all-time high. So it's Bitcoin's turn. Also, Bitcoin has been following the global liquidity index. So when Bitcoin breaks higher, well, then people are going to start looking at other altcoins. And one altcoin that I think is going to do well is XLM. Now, XLM hasn't done very well since the 18th of November because there's just been massive volatility in the markets, uncertainty with interest rates, trade tensions, tariffs, you name it. But XLM is actually looking pretty good on the weekly chart, because we just broke this descending resistance right here. And how these breakouts tend to play out is once we finally break a downtrend, which is just a series of lower highs, and we break that descending resistance, we come back up to previous ranges of resistance that were support. For example, right here with these candle body closes, also at this descending resistance. So this was a major zone of resistance that XLM gets rejected from, consolidating below. And if we don't see a flash crash for Bitcoin and XLM doesn't pull back a little bit further, I think the next stop for XLM is to break this resistance, hold it as support, and then come all the way back up here at these previous levels that we are at all the way back in December of 2024 at roughly 48 to 50 cents. And that would come synergistically with total 2 breaking out back to $1.5 trillion. So we just need to be ready for that. So I think XLM will do exceptionally well towards the end of this year. And also that would come in line with a breakout for others. And we can see right here, this divergence is starting to play out. And so as long as we hold about $217-ish billion and above that for a higher low, while the relative strength index puts in a lower low, well, then this hidden bullish divergence is exactly what we need to see in order for the altcoin market to finally experience another breakout to the upside after this grueling downtrend since Q4 of 2024. Now, it does take time to get out of here. As you guys can see, there was this downtrend from March of 2024 until like September, forming lower lows and lower highs. And even when we try to break out, we consolidate right below a key resistance right here, and then boom, the breakout happens and it happens fast. So right now we're just consolidating below a key resistance right here. And so this consolidation may last through the summer, but then whammy, we're going to see a massive explosion in price action for the entire altcoin industry. And when that happens, our team will be ready. For example, our research team posted GOAT on the 13th of October of 2024 when it was right at a penny. And since then, it rallied to over $1, 5,000%. That's like turning $1,000 into over $50,000. Our team called Pendle at only a $16 million market cap, or 16 cents, back on February 18th of 2023, all the way back here. And since then, it's rallied up over 4,000%. That's a 40x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $40,000. Our team also called BitTensor Tau September 15th, 2022, before the token was ever even launched. And since then, Tau has rallied over 2,000%. That's a 20x. Our team even said Solana is most likely to be one of the easiest trades next year, and this was posted December 29th, 2022, on the day that Solana bottomed out at around $8. And since then, Solana looks like it's up over 2,500%. That's a 25x. It's like turning $1,000 into over $25,000. The list goes on and on and on. Our team called Sui, Ondo, and even some of the biggest cult-based meme coins like MOG back in July 20th of 2023, the day that MOG launched. So if you want to learn how our team is finding these altcoins before they explode, we just launched Altcoin Pro University, where our research team gives you real-time altcoin picks with explosive potential for this bull run, along with 100+ expert curated classes crafted by industry experts to discover these gems yourself, on top of our live weekly calls every single week for in-depth crypto market analysis and daily updates. And that's just a fraction of what we offer inside of Altcoin Pro University through the link below. And although we make no guarantees because crypto is definitely risky, guys, this is only $97 a month or $970 a year. If you want to save $194, getting 2 months for free and unlock some exclusive bonuses, just go through the link in the description below, get in right now, watch the 26-minute video covering everything that Altcoin Pro University offers to help you become the first millionaire in your family tree, if that's a goal of yours. And you can get started through the link in the description below right now, or you can go to bullrunners.com to take advantage of the bonuses we're giving you before they expire. Everyone is loving the community. They're loving the education. They're getting access to real-time altcoin picks first before we ever make videos about them. So click the link in the description below, watch the video, and I'll see you on the inside.
Well, we go from the highest highs to the canyons fall. The great awakening's calling you.
My fellow Americans and time-traveling patriots, where we go one, we go all together. One nation, under God,